Hello class, my name is Jason Stott. I will be your teacher for Design 246, and this course we will be covering how to create animations. Now the animations that we will be creating will be for the web, and we will be using the program called Dreamweaver. So just as to cover what we'll be doing for this week, we are going to be doing two assignments. One is you're going to create a bounce animation, which is for your hybrid assignment right here. And you're also going to create an animated banner. And we're going to do this using keyframes. And I'll be going over keyframes tonight and showing you how those work. And if you have any questions over any content that I cover in this video, just shoot me an email or give me a phone call or send me a text. All of my information was included in the email that I sent you on Sunday. It's also in the syllabus, so if you need to contact me, my information's there. Alright, so let's go to your participation assignment for Tuesday. That is if it wants to load. Okay, so we will go over how to use multiple keyframes in one animation. So I want you to follow along, do everything that I do in the video, and yeah, I think we've covered all of that. Alright, so in this page right here, we've got some information for you. So we've got the syntax. This is the syntax or the code that we'll be using to create animations. Now we've got name, duration, timing function, delay, literal iteration count, direction, fill mode, play state. So I have some notes here on what each of those do. So we've got the name, duration, timing function, and so on. So the blue part is where you would actually enter in the data that you'd be using for your animation. The red part right here is the notes. So let's get started. So I want you guys to open up Dreamweaver. So I'm going to click on Dreamweaver here. So I'm on the blank page here. So I'm going to go to File, New, and I'm going to double click on HTML right here. I now have an empty HTML document. So I'm going to change the text that's right here in the title tag, and I'm going to call this Participation Assignment 1. Now I like to keep my HTML code formatted really well. By this time, you should have taken a few HTML classes. You should be somewhat familiar with HTML and CSS. We'll be covering HTML and CSS as well in this course, but we'll be focusing on the animation aspect. Alright, so your HTML, you want to make sure that it is between the body tags here, and any of your CSS that you write needs to be inside the head tags. For your CSS, we'll just put in the style tags here, and we'll be able to get started. Now we want to save this document, so I did a hotkey there to save, but since I want you guys to be able to see how I'm getting everywhere, I'm going to use the drop down menus here. So let's go and click on Save, and I want you to create a new folder. Right now, let's go to Desktop. We're going to create a folder on your desktop. That way you can easily find everything that we're working on in this class. We're going to click on New Folder, and we're going to call this Design 246. Alright, that folder is now created, and we're going to call this file Participation 1.html, and we'll click Save. Alright, so the file should be all saved, and we should have this URL right here, which is the URL that if you were to put it in a browser, it would load it up and we'd be able to see all the code that we are creating. So I want you to copy that, go to Firefox, and paste that into the URL. Right now we don't have anything showing up because we haven't written in any code, but we do have Participation Assignment 1 showing up right here because that's what we specified right here in the title tag. Alright, so let's go and put something in there real quick. let's set up our CSS. So we are going to create an ID, so that we're going to put a hashtag in here, and we're going to call this ball. And then for our CSS, we are going to set it at a width of 100 px, which is 100 pixels, a height 100 pixels, and we're going to set the background to, let's do red. All right, we'll save that. We'll go into between the body tags here, and we are going to declare our ID. So we've created this ball ID, so we're going to type in ball right here. The hashtag will only show up inside your style tags when you're specifying the details for your CSS. Right here, you're just going to type in ball, so it's going to be ID equals ball. All right, so if we save that, so we go to File, Save, then we go over to our browser, and if we refresh the page, we now have a red square box. Now, the ID we had specified as a ball, so let's make this round. So we're going to do a border dash radius of 50%. Now by doing this, we are going to make the ball perfectly round. Now I will be using hotkeys to refresh and save, so whenever I say save, you can either do a Command S to save, or you can go to File and Save. And then you can use Command R to refresh the page, or you can just click on the refresh icon right here. Alright, so right now we have a red ball. It's not doing much. So let's go ahead and animate it. So in our participation assignment, I've got all these notes right here. So let's just go ahead and copy all of this right here. Got everything all typed up. Makes things a little bit easier. And we are going to create that right in here. Now, for ease of use, so you can more easily see this, I'm going to format our CSS a little differently. All right. So we are going to name our animation, call it moving. The duration of this animation, we'll set it as 3 seconds, so that's going to be 3s. The timing function, should we go over here? So it's right here, so we have a few different options on how the animation's actually going to work. We've got linear, ease, ease in, ease out, ease in out, step start, step end. I recommend on your free time, go and see what each of those do. The one that you'll most commonly use though is ease, so we'll just type in ease here. Alright, the delay is the amount of time before the animation will start. Let's do 0, because we will want that to start out immediately. The iteration count is the number of times that your animation will actually animate, and we will want that as infinite, at least for this time around. So that way the animation is going to continue over and over and over again. The direction, if we go dun, 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 dun. Alright, the direction would actually be the fill mode here, but we're not actually going to need that information. All of this right here will default to its normal settings, so we'll just delete all of that. Alright, now we have our animation code set up here, but we haven't really told it what it's going to do yet. So we are now going to set up our keyframes. So we are going to do an ampersand, type in keyframes, and now we called this right here moving. So we're going to copy that, and we're going to paste it here. We're going to put our curly brackets here, and we are going to do a from. I'll do our curly brackets again. and we will do margin left 0px. So it starts from, and we're going to do 2. We'll do margin dash left of 100px. All right, so let's save that. Go to our browser here and refresh. All right, now we have this animation where it now is moving to the left. And it's just doing that, and then it restarts. Now, what if we don't want it to just restart at the beginning? What if we want it to go back and forward? Well, we have that as one of our options. So let's go to let's do forwards here. Save that. Okay, that's the forward, so let's do alternate. All right, now it's going back and forth. Now the animation's moving pretty slow, so I'm going to set that up so this animation is going to take 1 second to complete. All right, so now the speed is much faster. Now let's go ahead and move this over like 500 pixels. So we refresh it. Now it's moving 500 pixels of distance. But it's only going one direction right now. So let's change that a little bit. So if we do, set this at margin 0. And we will do a margin top of 50px. Alright, so it's starting here, and then as it comes down, it's got almost kind of a bit of a curve going on here. Alright, let's make that a bit bigger so we can see a bigger difference here. Alright. Now it's going back and forth, back and forth. Now it's based off what we have specified. Now, if you're not familiar with the margin tag, what the margin tag does is it creates kind of an external boundary around it. Kind of think of it as a magnetic field. So if we say margin left of 500 pixels, we are essentially pushing whatever we have created, in this case the ball, and we're pushing it to the right because the left side has like all of this spacing that we have specified that it's going to be on that side. Same thing with the margin dash top. It's pushing everything down because we've put in a bunch of spacing on the top. Alright, so what we've covered so far is pretty much a starting and end point. But what if we wanted to actually create an animation that has multiple directions that it's going to go, and it's going to have more than just a from and a to statement? Well, we can definitely do that. So what we want to do is we're going to set our from to 0%. 0% is pretty much the 0% of the animation. So it's nothing has happened yet. Then if we set this to 100%, that's when the animation is complete. So save that, so do Command S, go over here, do Command R, refreshes it, so nothing has changed. So by changing it to percentages versus the from and to, doesn't change anything. But now we have the option to add something in here. So we're going to do 50%, and we are going to do a margin, let's do a margin left of 1000 px. Oh, 1000 px. A margin dash bottom. Now let's do a margin dash top of let's do 800 px. All right, so we're going to save that. All right. So now it's going through another step here. Now I've made it pretty big, so we're not seeing all of it. So let's shrink this down a bit. So at 50%, we're going to have it go down to the left, 1,000 pixels, that's fine. Margin dash top, let's change that to 500, and the 100%, we're going to change this to 300. Alright, so what's going on is it starts on the first keyframe, or the animation that we've created, goes all the way down over here, then it goes back here, and then the animation starts to go backwards. So it goes back here, and then it goes over here. So let's have this ball kind of create a Z shape animation. So we start at 0, and we're going to have it go to the left 1,000, and we're going to keep the margin top at 0px. So that's going to move it to the right, and we're going to do 75%. And we'll do a margin dash left 0px, a margin dash top of 500px. All right, so that's going to create the animation of it going down and to the side. And then from here, we want it to go back to margin left 1,000px. And our margin top we want to keep at the same 500 that we have specified right here. So let's save that, and let's refresh it. Now it's going in a Z pattern. Now let's slow down this animation a bit. Now you'll notice that on this first part right here, it's a bit slower, and then here and here the speed's about the same. Now the reason for that is it does half the first animation right here on the very top. And then it goes and does the other animations for about 25%. So let's break this up a little bit so that it's a little bit better. So we're going to do 33, then 66, and now it should be pretty close to about the same speed all the way across. Alright, so we've covered actually moving something, but now we can do other types of animations as well. We can make the box, or in this case the ball, shrink. We can make it grow bigger as it goes. So let's do a height of 100px. Now remember, the 0%, that is where your starting animation is at. And width 100px. So we are making it the exact same settings that we have right here. And we're going to go here, and we're going to set that width to be 150 pixels, and the height to be 150 pixels. So let's save that and just see what that does. Alright, as it's going down, it grew bigger, and then it returned back to its original size. So to make that even more obvious, I'm going to change that to 200 by 200. Oh. And then we'll set the width here to 50 pixels, and the height to 50 pixels. And then we'll do the width of 25 pixels and the height 25 pixels. Alright, so it grows, it shrinks down, and then it shrinks down even more. And as we're looking at this, it almost creates the illusion that it's kind of actually going out into the distance and that it's getting closer. And that's just by adjusting the size of the ball. Okay. So what if we wanted to do this with an image versus just HTML? Well, we can do that. So let's Google ball. And let's see if we can find a good image that we can use online. Yeah, we could use this. We could use this Chrome image. So the dimensions are 230 by 230, and is exactly the same size all around. So I'm going to just drag this into my desktop. Shrink this down a little bit. Okay, and I'm going to drag this into the folder that I've created, which is Design 246. Alright, so it's in the same folder as our participation 1, and I'm going to rename this file ball. Okay, so now we've got the ball.jpg inside our participation1.html file. So now, let's go to our code in Dreamweaver. And instead of using a div here, let's set this as an image. So we now are using an image tag versus the div tag. And we're going to add our src, which is our source. And we're just going to type in ball.jpg. I'll save that, so Command S. Go over here and refresh. Alright, so now we've got a Chrome icon that is moving around. And we can even take that border radius off since we no longer need that, since the image itself is round. Okay, and let's do a transform rotate. We'll do 0 DEG. We'll copy that. And here we'll specify a rotation of 80 degrees. Let's refresh that. Now the ball is moving. Now it wasn't quite enough of a turn there, so let's do 360. Now in some browsers it might act a little weird. Alright, so it's rotating. Okay, and then we'll create another rotation on this one of 360 degrees. So it goes here, starts from 0, goes to 360, and then since we don't have anything specified here, it goes back to 0 degrees, so it kind of returns in the rolling, or in the rotating that's going on. And then by specifying 360 degrees here, it's going to rotate again. Now a little quirk, depending on the browser, is sometimes the rotation doesn't quite do what we want it to do. So we are going to copy this, paste it here, and we're going to specify 0 degrees. Alright, so now we've got the rotating. Okay. So now let's set up an environment where this ball can kind of bounce around inside. So we are going to do a div ID wrapper. Okay, and we will tab this over. Anytime you have an HTML tag that is inside another HTML tag, you want to tab it over. Just makes it so you have clean code. And we are going to format this tag, so specify wrapper. Alright, and we'll give it a width of 1000 pixels, height 500. And a background of FFF, which is white. Next, we're going to set up our HTML, our body. So we're going to do a margin 0px, padding 0px. This is going to remove some of the default settings so that we only have shown what we want to show up. We'll save that. And we'll add in a background of 000, which is black. Alright, so now we have a white box on a black page. So let's go and center that. So we are going to go to our wrapper tag here. And we are going to do a margin, :0 auto. What this does is, now we've already covered what margin does, is it kind of pushes things around. By doing an auto right here, it is automatically going to do a padding on the left and the right side that is equal, and it's going to essentially center your wrapper. Alright, so now we've got that centered, and you'll notice that the ball now starts at the top part right here, and that's because it is inside the wrapper ID that we've created. But as we can see, it is actually going outside it as it's doing the animation, so we want to clean that up. Okay, so for the animation, we are having it to go down to 1000 pixels. Now our image, we've specified as 200 pixels. And the width of the container is 1000. So we are going to have it move over by 800 pixels because the size of the image is going to fill up the rest of this 200. So we'll save that, go over here and refresh it. And now it stops right at the edge there, and we're good to go. Alright, so we'll go down to 66%, margin dash top. We're going to subtract the height of the image that's been specified here, so it's 50. So we are going to do this 450. So the margin dash top, so it's going down 50, and the image itself is 50 pixels. So that should have it pretty close to the bottom there. And then we'll want to make sure that we update this one right here as well, so that it is in the same placement. And it is going to shrink down to 25 pixels. So this time, we're going to go to 975 px. So 975 plus 25 equals 1000. Refresh that. Alright. Now let's change that margin dash top to about 475, because it looked like it didn't go down as far as I would like. And I think we will do that border dash radius on the ball, so we won't have that white edge kind of rotating around there. Okay, let's save that. Alright, so now we've got this right here, but it's right flush against the top of our page. Now let's push that down a little bit. So we're going to go to our wrapper, and we're going to set this to about 10 VH. Now VH is for viewport height. The viewport is the size of your page, and so it's going to move it down about 10% of the total size of this page right here. So we got 10 VH auto, and we'll set this to 0 right here. All right, so let's refresh it. All right. We now have a white box on a black page that contains a ball that is animating. Now, remember to make sure you understand everything that's being covered right now. Your animation ball for your assignment, let's go over here. All right, so your animation, or your bounce animation, is going to be using the images that are in the bounce animation.zip file right here. And you are going to do what we are essentially doing right here. Except you're going to actually have the ball fall down. It's going to bounce up a little bit, come back down, and it's going to keep on bouncing. And you're going to be using a background. Now we haven't covered how to do a background yet, so I'll show you how to do that in a moment. So let's go and find an image of, let's just type in landscape. Okay, that looks like kind of a fun image. That's 960. Let's find one a little bit bigger. Okay, this is 1920 by 1080, so that's going to be plenty big. So let's shrink that down. I'm going to just drag this over. Okay, I'm going to grab this image, I'm going to drag it into the folder that we've created, and I'm going to call this background. Okay. Go to our code here, and for our wrapper, oh, not the wrapper, the ball. Yeah, the wrapper is actually what we do want to use. Okay. We're going to do URL. I'll type in background.jpg. And let's refresh. And now we have an image of the mountains for the background. Alright, now there's other things that we can animate other than just the ball. Now, let's put a position absolute on the ball here, just so it doesn't interfere with any other additional items that we are going to be adding onto this page. Okay, so it doesn't affect the animation here, but it will allow us to add other items onto the page. So make sure to put in that position absolute. Okay. So now we're going to create another div, and we're going to call this ID text box. And we're going to type in here, this is some test content. We'll save it, and we'll refresh the page. And so the text is showing up right here. It's not doing anything right now. So let's format it up a little bit. So we're going to create another ID. We'll call this text box. And we're going to set the color to white so we can see it a bit better. We'll make the font size, that's the size of the font. We'll set it to 30px. We'll save that, refresh the page. So it's looking like that. And do an opacity of 0px. That will pretty much makes it invisible. We don't want to do 0px, we just want to do 0 on it. Okay. Alright. And then we're going to do an animation on it. So let's copy our animation line of code here. paste it here. Now we could technically use this moving animation that we've got right here, and I'll show you what that looks like. Oh, that's right, we have it as invisible right now. So let's move the opacity for now. And let's also make this text box position absolute. Alright. So that's what happens, or that's what happens if you use the exact same keyframe animation that you've created right here for moving. Now for our text, we want it to do a different independent animation. So we're going to change this to text move. And we're going to do ampersand, keyframes, text move. I'll do our 2 curly brackets. Alright, so for 0%, set the opacity will be at 0. And then we're going to do the 100%, where the opacity is 1. Now 1 equals 100%. And so as this is animating, this is as well. So it just kind of fades in. And then it fades out as it goes back. Alright, so let's move it over. So we're going to do a margin dash left of 500 px. But we'll want to do that for the ending of the animation. In the beginning, we're going to do a margin dash left of 0 px. So now we've got the text, it's moving over, and then it's going to start going back, and it's going to fade out. Now the animation's looking pretty slow, and it's not moving over as much as I'd like, so I'm going to change that to about 700, and I'm going to make that speed a little bit faster. So we're going to, let's do 3 seconds. Alright, as you can see, this right here is now animating at a different time frame than the ball here. So you can have multiple animations starting at different times, doing all sorts of fun stuff. Now another thing that we have not covered yet is we can actually put in a delay. So far, we've had it at 0 seconds. So let's set this for 2 seconds on our text box. So it will wait 2 seconds before the animation even starts. Alright, so it waits 2 seconds and then it starts. Now the reason why the text was just showing there until the animation started is because we did not have the opacity at 0% on our text box by default. So we are going to change that. So we're going to put opacity 0 on here. So it's going to be at opacity 0, and then once the animation starts, it's going to be starting at the 0%, and then it's going to continue on in its animation. Alright, now let's move it down a bit as it's animating. So we're going to do a margin dash top and set that down to about 450 px. Okay, and let's add in a little bit of a rotation to it. So we'll do transform, rotate, Specify the starting point. Copy that. And I'll paste that in here, and we'll just do a slight rotation on it. Alright. And we'll just do one additional animation. So we'll do another div ID, and we'll call this text box 2. And we'll put here title text. Okay, so we'll format this. So I'm just going to copy this ID that we've created, paste it down here, put a 2 here. I'm going to make the font size even bigger. Opacity 0% sounds good. And we'll set the text move to text move 2. And then we're going to create another keyframe animation. So we'll just copy this and paste it. Now what we're going to do now is we're going to actually have the text kind of enter in. So we're going to start out at 0 opacity. Margin left, we're going to have it at, actually, text box 2, we're going to do, take the position absolute off of that. I'm going to move this onto the top. Now the reason for that is, so these items right here do not interfere with the text box 2 whatsoever because it is on top or it's above them. So I've moved it above the other 2 here. We are going to do a width of 500 px, text-align center. So it'll align our text in the center. And we're going to do a margin 0 auto, which we've already covered. Alright, so we're going to do a margin dash top of 0. And we're going to do a font size of 10 px. So it's going to start out small, and then it's going to get bigger. Okay, so we're going to do a margin dash top of 200, and a font size of 40 px. Oh, and we will want to make sure our text move is a text move 2, because that is the animation that we have specified right here. Alright, so let's refresh this. And let's see what this does. Alright, so I was moving the elements down a little bit, and I didn't like that. So let's set it so it is a height of 0 px. Oh, and we'll want to remove the delay on that. Okay, so we'll take our delay off. So I'm going to have it start immediately. Alright, let's try that. Okay, still not quite doing what I want it to do here. Let's set Let's try position relative. Still not doing what I want it to do. And code can be a bit fun to try and work out the bugs as you're working on things. For this, we are going to start with we're going to do, instead of a margin, so I believe what's happening is the margin is expanding past this, hits this right here, and it starts pushing things down, which is not what we want. So we're going to use a different tag. We're going to use padding-top 0px, and we'll do padding-top right there, 200px. Alright, now we've got things working somewhat the way we want them to do, but we've got things now starting to get outside of it. So, let's see what happens if we put this below. Alright, and that fixes the issue. Alright, so that is your introduction to keyframes and how they work. So you will want to make sure you set up your CSS, set up your HTML, and then you want to set up your keyframes. Now, if you have any questions over any of the content that we have covered tonight, send me an email or get in contact with me. And if need be, I will create another video where I will focus on the areas that didn't make any sense. And for this week's assignment, you will want to create the animation where you've got a ball that's going to be bouncing, and then you're going to create an animated banner. The animated banner is going to be kind of like what we have right here. So you're going to specify a width and a height for the banner, and then you're going to animate the text on it. So you can have an image that's going to enter in, and then you're going to have some text that's going to enter in. But I want to see a few different animations going on there. Alright, other than that, that's going to be pretty much everything for week 1.